No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
And here we go. This is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor, and I'm glad that it's a beautiful sunny morning. I'm happy. But it was 59 degrees this morning, and normally about this time we're up in the 70s. I don't know what happened, but Mother Nature is cooling us down for the summer. I like it. Hopefully it's cool all summer long. But you know Mother Nature, she has a mind of her own, so we'll just wait to see what she does. That's all that we can do. Listen, last night, Ron DeSantis announced that he was going to run for president. Well, he is running for president. And he did it on Twitter. Now, I tuned in, and Twitter had some technical difficulties at the very beginning. They corrected it, and then pretty soon the questions and answers started coming. Now, what I liked about this approach is that I paid more attention to the words, because I didn't see anybody on, like on video or on the screen. It was all just words on Spaces, Twitter Spaces. Once they got the technicalities corrected, people began asking some very good questions, and we got policy answers back from DeSantis. There wasn't any play before the camera. There wasn't anything. It was just pure words. I like that approach because now I can focus on what he is saying or what they are saying or what she is saying. Whenever politician comes onto Twitter, I think all of the politicians should be using the Twitter Spaces to come on and answer questions. There was very good questions asked and very good responses given back. And it was policy driven. It wasn't just some kind of thing about she's crappy or that's crappy or anything like that. No, it was about the policies of the specific questions that were asked. Now, what I didn't like is Ron DeSantis had a fundraising event in, I forget which city it was, but it was at a hotel. Trump had sent, or the Trump supporters all went to that hotel and they picketed him outside, doing their chants, acting like, honestly, it sounded like high schoolers. I'm going to play you just a little bit of that harassment. I consider it harassment of what they did. Just 1 second.
So I'm here outside of the Four Seasons, and it looks like Trump's PAC has a truck playing the anti-Ron DeSantis ads, Make America Great Again. You can see outside of the Four Seasons, Brickell Avenue, where Ron DeSantis is currently inside for his stuffy donor event. I guess it's the end of this Innocence Little book tour, right? And then across the street we have leftists and people on the right protesting. They were actually joined together in a chant, chanting and singing, "All of us against DeSantis." So you have the left and the right here outside of the
Now, let me tell you what I heard there. I heard a bunch of high schoolers. That's what it felt like. You have Republicans outside, or maybe they were paid demonstrators, I'm not quite sure. But they were sitting outside chanting nonsense. And what they should have been doing is listening. You see, the problem is when people become emotional, childish, harassment type. I really consider what they were doing out there was harassment. It makes Trump look and sound like a mafioso. It makes him sound like a union. It's what it makes it sound like. Out there beating on tom-toms and drums and cymbals and whatever else they were using. It just makes them look bad. And then you have Donald Trump Jr. on Twitter this morning saying that DeSantis really looked bad last night. That it was a failure. It was a launch failure is what he said. It's a launch failure. So if you cannot debate on policy, and if you're just going to call people names, and if you're just going to put people down, it makes you look foolish. And I think that what I saw last night was a very foolish campaign of Trump. He is starting to sound like, he sounds and he looks like he's desperate. You see, a winner is never desperate. And a winner never goes this low and puts protesters outside events of the other person. No, that's not what good politicians do. That is not what legitimate politicians do. If you want to discuss policy, come on, let's discuss it. I want to hear what your policy is. And tell me how you're different from DeSantis. We have the right on Twitter to ask questions. In fact, they bring people up out of the people listening and put them into a speaker spot so that they can ask questions. But when you act like this, that makes you look very childish. I mean, it sounds like you're in high school and you're running for the president of the student body, and you're trying to put down all the other people in a very childish way. And you have to also be very careful about who is supporting you, who's out there making noise for you. Because if you have people out there who make a lot of noise and make a lot of drama in Congress and every place else, you're going to lose this election because you look traumatized. You look like you're desperate. If you want to come on and if you want to make your statement, or if the people who are representing you on the outside want to make a statement, make an argument, talk about policy of what you would do to correct the American system that we have currently, then you can do that. I want to hear your policy. I want to hear DeSantis' policy. I want to hear all of the candidates' policies. But the way that Trump acted last night and the remarks that came off on Twitter and every other place made him not look like a presidential candidate, but made him look like a childish fool. Now, I have supported Trump all this time. But now I'm beginning to wonder, should I really support him? I have to look at what policies are better for the United States. What policies are you going to put in place? And when I say you, I mean all of the candidates. All of the candidates. I want to hear from each of you to see what your policies are going to be. And which is better for my household, for me personally, for my business, and for other businesses out there. I want to know what your policies are going to be. But if you're going to have people acting foolish, and if you're going to be protesting outside the other candidates' places, I'm sorry. But then you turn me away. Because now you're getting away from the debate process, the communication process, and the ability to support your policies. And you're sounding like a childish fool with all those people out there making that noise, protesting Ron DeSantis. Quite honestly, the questions that were asked last night on Twitter were very good questions. I don't care what Gorka says or all those other people who support Trump. You have to listen very carefully, because the policies of DeSantis was clearly stated last night. Clearly stated. There wasn't any calling of names. There wasn't any of that. He correctly stated the policies. Or his policies, I should say. So I would suggest to Trump, listen, if you want to be taken seriously act seriously. If you want to be taken seriously, state your policies clearly. If you want to be taken seriously, have a good argument. But once you start putting people down, calling them names, and doing all that other stuff, I can't take you seriously. Because at this very moment in time, even though that you're the leader of the pack, I don't know what your policies are. But you're willing to make fun of other people. You didn't attack him on his policies last night. You attacked him on who he is. So, this election, for me, I'm going to tell you what my view on this election is. I am going to listen very carefully to what's being said. I am going to listen to their policy statements and see if that is good for me as an American individual, and as an American business owner, and as an American who believes in freedom of religion. So I'm going to listen very carefully. And I think that's how we all should approach it. And when you see the antics like this, put it on your back burner, put it in your mental files, and say, okay, did this candidate operate professionally and ethically throughout the whole campaign? What baggage is he bringing to the presidency? What has he said about other people that just made him look like a fool? But the key source of my decision making is going to be based upon the policies stated and argued and how it will affect me. So far, when people voted for Biden, he made it very clear that he was going to raise your taxes. He was going to stop your oil. He was going to take away your gas-filled cars. And he was going to take more money out of your pocket. And he fulfilled every single campaign promise. That's why I didn't vote for him. Because I knew that it was going to create a problem for me and the people around me, the businesses that I work with, my business. I didn't vote for him based upon the policies he stated. So we have to be very careful this next election. And the candidates have to be very carefully not to offend, not to create conflict. Because once you start going back and forth on name calling, you turn the American people off. Because we're tired of it. We want to know what's going to be done to correct what has happened to this country. So that's my take on the Twitter thing. I thought it was a great event. I think it was a great venue. And I think all politicians should use it so that we know what your policies are. There's no cameras. All there is a question and what your response is. You can focus better on your response. Listen, if you have any business questions, you can send it to thebusinessadvisor@gmail.com. And if you would like to sit down with me confidentially and talk about business and business concerns, you can go to my website and book online at www.lodge-co.com. Everybody have a great day. I'll talk with you soon. I'll be glad when this politics is over, because I tell you, I'm worn out about it already. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.